I'm Doug Massi, and this is part 2 of our 3-part series where I, 1, share and teach my face-to-face final expense presentation, 2, show the correct way to set appointments, and 3, teach my door knocking technique. Today's video, Final Expense Training Part 2, I'll be showing my simple field underwriting technique, how I price out the death benefit options and the correct way to close the sale. And guys, if you missed part 1, make sure to watch it. And before we get started, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. We're putting out new content every week. Today is part 2 of the 3-part series, Final Expense Training. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to remember to link part 1 above so that you'll see it pop up right here just in case you haven't seen it, because today is part 2. For today's training, you do want to have the medical questions page here that you see pictured here. And there, I've got my little thingy so you'll see it. It looks like this. If you don't have it, guys, you can simply shoot me an email and request it. Now, I'm also going to show 2 more, well, I'm actually not going to show it, but I'm going to talk about 2 more pieces of sales materials that I use during my presentation. Anytime you guys want something that I give away in my videos, it's tit for tat, guys. We want to help you, but we want you to help us too. So the fair deal is you can simply request it. Hey, Doug, you said you'd give away the medical questions page. Can I get that? Please do not say, hey, Doug, I saw that video about the final expense training, and could you send me the presentation materials that were in it? If you do that, I'm not going to know what you're talking about, and I won't be able to help you guys. Remember, we have hundreds of videos. So pull out your medical questions page. I'm going to show you a real good way to go over it too. And in today's part 2 training, we're going to go over the field underwriting a little bit. We're going to go over how I price out the options, which is very important. I find a lot of agents fail at this big time, and how I close the sale too. And FYI, when door knocking, the only thing you should have with you is your leads, a pen, the guarantees of whole life insurance, and the medical questions page. And I don't know why I have that here, because that's something we're going to be going over in training part 3. So, but it's always a great tip. Now, the way that I use this medical questions page, at the end of the video, I'll show you how to get this. What we do is I'll pull it out. And at this point in the presentation, if you watch the video part 1, you see how we build up to this. The easy way to use this page is to simply look at it like, hey, I'm separating this Mr. and Mrs. here, and I'm going to separate it right down the middle right here for this first part. You're going to find their date of birth, their height and weight. And what I always ask is, with the tobacco question, I always ask, have you used any form of tobacco in the past 12 months? That's generally the typical question. I don't ask them if they smoke. If you ask them if they smoke, they'll say, no, I don't smoke. I quit yesterday, in their mind, without telling you. So we need to have the information right. Otherwise, you're going to create yourself an underwriting nightmare. You're not going to get the client approved as applied. Then what I'll do is I'll go down the questions. And notice how I've got notes. The way I'll do it is I'll say, okay, have either of you ever had a stroke or a seizure? Have either of you ever had cancer? Have either of you ever been diagnosed with any type of heart condition? I do this once they give me a yes. The first thing you want to know is, how long ago, when were you first diagnosed with it, whatever it is. So let's say they say, yeah, I had cancer. When were you diagnosed with it? They'll tell you. How long have you been cancer free? They'll tell you. What did you do to treat it? So we've got to dig. We need to know. And the nice thing about this is that with cancer, just keep this in mind, guys. With cancer, a lot of times they'll still be taking some type of medication. So beware. They may be cancer-free for 3 or 4 years, but then you find out they're still taking some type of preventative medication that could be a knockout, or instead of getting level, they'll end up offering the client like modified or graded. So keep that information, keep that in mind. Down here, I am writing down all the medication. By the time I've asked all the questions, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I need you to both get up and go grab all of your medication bottles. And if you have the list from the doctor, grab that too. It is extremely important that you get them to get up and go grab them. If they say, oh, I know my medications, I only take 3 things. I am telling you guys, you're going to find out that one of the three things they're going to get wrong, because a lot of times our clients, they get switched from one medication to the next, and a lot of times they'll hold out on you. It's weird. I tell them, I need to, Miss Jones, I know you only take one medication. Great. Do me a favor. I need to see the bottle. Anything you've taken in the past 2 years, if you've got the bottles, I need to know exactly what that is. You have to dig with the underwriting. You got to dig. Otherwise, you're going to miss stuff. Notice down here where it says Florida resident, valid ID, Social Security, local bank, direct express. And after I've gotten all their medical information, I got their doctor's information, I've got notes on everything. Now I'm going to find out the form of payment that they have. The last thing I want to do is, let's say, I'm thinking Royal Neighbors is going to be good for them, only to find out that they have a debit card. So the way I use this, because the worst thing we can do is price them with a carrier that we can't even sell them, right? That's the big mistake. So we're preventing that right now. I asked them, okay, I need some additional information. I'm going to ask you guys some other questions. You guys live here, you're Florida residents, right? And, whatever state you guys are in, you ask them that. They're going to say yes. Okay, great. And do you guys keep a valid driver's license or valid ID card? You do? Excellent. And you guys are receiving Social Security benefits. Okay, good. Now, with your Social Security benefits, do they deposit that right into your checking account each month? They're going to say yes. And then I say, oh, okay. Is it a local? Which bank do you guys use? I am doing this because we need to find out what bank they use, because you will be surprised. They'll say, yeah, I've got a checking account. And the next thing you know, they go, yeah, the bank I use is Green Dot Bank or Net Spend Bank or Chime Bank. If you don't know, guys, or Direct Express. Direct Express is the government card. It's the government debit card. Not all carriers are going to take these cards, but out of all the cards, Direct Express is actually the best one. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Green Dot Bank, Net Spend, and Chime, these folks actually pay a fee so that they can get their Social Security benefits 2 days earlier than normal. And that's messed up. That's why we get so many insufficient funds with those cards. That's why those cards are kind of crap. If someone pulls out a Green Dot Bank, a Net Spend, or a Chime, I'm not even going to take those cards unless, here's the key. I tell them, do me a favor, pull out your smartphone, pull out the account information on it. Now you can get the actual account number, not the debit card number, the account number, which is completely different. And it comes with a separate routing number. That's what you want. That's the goal. If you're going to get anything out of today's training, that's what you want to get right there. At this point, we've gotten all their information. This is when you want to pull out your I Am Your policy, and you should have it laminated on back to back with 8 reasons seniors purchase final expense insurance. You should laminate them back to back and hand them to your client. Now, this is when you do the underwriting. This is when you pull out the medication guide. This is when you're trying to figure out, okay, which carrier do I want to decide on? And if you've got a cheat sheet like the one that we give to our agents, we don't share that with the public. It has all the best carriers on it. You'd actually have to join our agency for that, guys. But at least with this information, you have the basics of what to do. And if you're having issues, that's when you want to call your manager, your upline, or the carrier. If you don't have an upline to call to ask for help for this, someone who helps you with training and stuff, and you're trying to do this on your own, well, man, this probably isn't going to work. It's probably just not going to work. I hate to say that. And I know agents find these companies, these IMOs that don't really have any training, but they offer a higher commission, so they go with it. And then now they don't know what to do. It's like the turtle that wants to get up on the fence. You put him up on the fence, and now he doesn't know what he's stuck on the fence. I don't know if that makes any sense. Here's how I do the options. So now I pull out the page where I write down the death benefit options. And if you guys want, you can request this too. I have no problem sharing this form with you. We just call it the pricing page. This is where you're doing the pricing page. So maybe write that down. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to get all these things for yourself. And notice how I do it. I always write down at least 5 options. Sometimes I write down a 6th option. And the one thing I will say, never, the biggest fail of new agents is they'll write down 3, 4, 5 options, and then the bottom option, it'll be like $18 a month. You have to always give yourself space, room to do a price drop.
because a lot of people, their natural knee-jerk reaction is, oh, I can't afford any of that. It doesn't matter if the bottom option is, like here you see $87 for John, $66 for Sandy, and a total of $153. It doesn't matter if it's that or a total of $30. Some people would just say, oh yeah, no, I can't afford that. That's like a natural knee-jerk reaction. So never show less than $50 per person. So, the bottom line is the fifth option should not be less. If it's a husband and wife and you're combining the payment, shouldn't be less than $100. It's the last thing you want to do. Always give yourself room to drop. And you can do it two different ways. And sometimes I do it both ways. So what I like to do is I like to add it together. And when I go over this, I'm going to explain to you how I do this in a minute. When I go over this, I at least am very clear that I've added both John and Sandy, I've added both of your monthly payment prices together. This is the total. This is not per person. This is the exact total between the two of you. And I make that very, very, very clear. And what I will do is explain it in this way. Very simple. Now, John and Sandy, what I've done here is I've written out 5 different death benefit options. And then what I'll do is I'll read them one by one. $30,000 is $352 a month. $25,000 is $299. $20,000 is $245. $15,000 is $191, and $12,000 is $153. And again, John and Sandy, this is the combined payment. This isn't each. This is total for the two of you guys. And generally what I do is I recommend to my clients, if you can afford the top option and the monthly payment of $352, great. You should definitely do that. But guys, I also know that you're on a fixed income. The last thing I want to do is convince you to take on more than you can afford and maybe have you pay a few months and then realize, hey, you just can't afford it, and then cancel the policy, because that's not going to help anybody. That's not going to help you, John, or you, Sandy. It's not going to do anything for the kids when the last of you passes away. So the good thing about whole life insurance, guys, is that you can start with any of these other options. And what I do is I point to them like that. And then I usually land on one and tap one I think they can afford. And the nice thing about it is, I'm going to start that over, guys. So John and Sandy, what I generally do is I recommend that if you can easily afford the top option, the $352 payment, great, let's do that. But I don't want you to take on more than you can afford. The good thing about whole life insurance is that you can always start with one of these other options. And later, if you can afford more, if something just makes you decide that you can handle more, we can always move you up and add to your insurance. So guys, of the 5 options, which can you squeeze each month? And that's how I say it. I just let them go. I let them think about it. I let them do what they're going to do. That's when they're either going to pick an option or they're going to give you some excuse or some reasoning, or they're going to make the old, well, we got to think about it, whatever that is. If they pick the option and they go right to it and they say, yeah, I think we can handle this, then all I'm saying is go ahead and grab your driver's license or ID, please. I demand that they do that. I don't say, okay, well, the next step is we need your ID. I don't do that. I just tell them, go grab your driver's license or ID, please. That's it. And I also notice how it says here, I circle the option. I want to circle it for my notes. So if they pick the 191, I'm circling it. That way they see me circle it. I'm circling it for myself. I've got that with my notes. And now it's going to be easier for me to move forward. So if they don't pick an option or they give an excuse, that's when you do your price drop close. Notice I have notes on what to say. Guys, when someone has to think about it, I know that it's usually about the cost or price, and that's the truth. And when it comes down to it, guys, if they've got to think about it, if they've got to sleep on it, if they got to talk to their cousin Joe, it's usually either cost, price, or the issue may be that they just don't trust you. And then you need to go back and rebuild rapport. Hopefully you know how to do a price drop close. And that's when you go back and you add another price and you basically say, okay, I got you. Can I make a suggestion? And then they'll say, yes. Let's just go ahead and do $12,000 for $153. That way, at least you guys have something. And later, if you decide you want more, we can always come back and add to it. Go ahead and grab your driver's license, please. And that's how I do it. That's how I do the price drop close. If they say, no, I think that's pushing it, then I write down another option. Then I will go, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of cut it in half, because you want to get something. And so I'll go from maybe the $12,000 option to maybe like a $6,000 or even like $8,000 option. Something that I think makes sense. And then what you're doing is you're reselling that. Anytime you don't sound sure of yourself, the prospect is going to sense that. Now, this is important, guys, because when you're doing your presentation, you always want to speak with authority. And again, I don't ever ask them anything. Can you get your driver's license? Or can you give me your social security number? Can you go find I don't ask that. I tell them, okay, go ahead and grab your driver's license. And what's your social? And I need you to go get me a voided out check. That's it. You're firm. You tell them. You don't hesitate, because I'm telling you, they'll pick an option and then you'll start hesitating and getting nervous. And the next thing you know, it comes out of your mouth sounding wrong. I need your driver's license. The next thing you know, they're going to go, oh, we need to think about this first. It's like they backpedal. That's how you cause yourself sales. How do I know this? Because I've done this. I've been there, guys. I've been the newbie. Believe me, we all go through it. The trick is to make your final expense presentation the very first time, and I don't care if it's your first week, you've got to make it sounding like you've been doing this forever. You are the pro. They need to listen to you. You also want to learn the ins and outs of the products, the carriers you're selling. Some of the companies will actually let you do a practice application. I know that, Ascendo does a practice. Prosperity does not allow that anymore. If you can do a practice, send it up on yourself or a family member, and then withdraw it. That, to me, that way you know what to expect. You know how the e-application process is going to work if you're doing that e-application process. The trick is just to simply be prepared. You have to be prepared. That's the key. The agents that aren't prepared are the ones that are blowing the easy sales when they're new. You go over, and my suggestion is, before you go out in the field, you make presentation after presentation with friends, family members, the dog, yourself. Record yourself. Listen to what you sound like and make corrections before you go out, and have everything. Go through it. Pretend you're sitting with somebody. Okay, so they're going to buy it. Now what do I do next? What's the next thing I do? Well, I need to pull out the application. So now you're prepared. You don't want to be unprepared and be like, oh, okay, they're ready to buy. Great. Now you're pulling out your iPad trying to figure out, where's the application? What do I do next? No, be prepared. Know each step. Know what's going to happen. That's why I recommend, if possible, doing a practice application on a friend or family member. If you'd like a copy of, and I'm just going to say, let me see, what did we talk about? The medical questions page, the pricing page, I Am Your Policy, and the 8 reasons seniors purchase final expense plans, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.